Hello YouTube, this is DrawingKid1313 and welcome to your third programming tutorial with C++. I was supposed to say that the other way. So this is your third programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to be going over some of the basic operations, the basic math operations like addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. They are very simple, and we're going to go over a few other ones that are included in C++ that have various uses, but we're not going to learn all of them. We're going to learn most of them, and if we need any other ones in future programs, I'll be sure to clarify and tell you what they do in that tutorial. But for this one, we're just going to go over the basic ones. Of course, before we do that, we have a few questions that were asked in previous tutorials, and that's basically, what does all this stuff do? What does include do? What does this mean? And why do we need this? So I'm going to, for this first part of the tutorial, I'm going to try my best to explain why you need these things. The explanation is pretty simple, but I'm not all that strong in C++ when it comes to the technical terms and exactly why things do certain things. My explanation for a lot of stuff is just that's why it has to, that's why it has to be done. That's how it has to be done. It's just those type of things. But I'm going to try my best to explain these. So this thing right here, when you have include things, basically that's telling you include this library. So this is pretty much like the standard library right here, and this is another library that's used for the input and output. I went a little bit over that in the first tutorial, but you will have other ones include, such as include conio.h or conio2.h. Alright, and this library handles certain colors and stuff, so you can change the color of the text, you can change the color of the background, and you can do all that kinds of fun stuff because it's included and it's already written in a separate file. So basically this is a header file right here, and these are just regular system files that have already been written. If you go into your dev installation folder and you go to dev/include/C++, you would eventually find cstd lib, which I believe is just a C standard library, and you would be able to read everything that it does. Of course, it's going to be very difficult to understand because it's just a whole bunch of codes, and I'm not 100% sure of what everything means. But basically, it's like referring to a dictionary. Alright, it's saying, and the reason why we know what certain words mean in English is because we have a dictionary and they have a word and then they have a definition for that word. That's pretty much what these do. They have different, functions, such as, see out, and then it has a definition for see out. It's like, alright, computer, when you get this word, you're going to do this with it, and it's going to output the information onto the screen. That's pretty much what it's saying, and that's why you need the include things. This using namespace std is basically just telling it, hey, we're using the standard library. And it's pretty similar to what these do. Actually, it may be very, very similar to that, but it's basically just saying, alright, the codes that you need, this is your dictionary that you have to refer to whenever you find a word such as like an integer. When you have int, it wouldn't know what to do if you didn't define int. It would be like, oh, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to skip over it. But since we are using the standard library, it says, alright, this means that it's a type of variable and it holds whole numbers. And that's basically what it does. Now this one right here, int main, what this does, it's the main function. Now we're going to get into functions later on in the tutorials. Functions are actually a very big part of programming. It's very important, something that you really definitely want to learn. But we are going to be learning them later on because it tends to deal with a few more advanced things. And I basically want to go over the basics before we step into the more intermediate and advanced things in C++. But basically this is just the main function. It's the thing that the computer refers to first. So since you have int main, it's going to say, alright, computer, when you run this program, you're going to refer to this block of code first, this function first. Anything outside of that function, you're not going to refer to it unless it is referred to inside this main function. And that's basically what it's telling us. So it just lets the computer know where to start when it's running the program. Pretty simple. Now this stuff in here, the int argc and char argv and stuff like that, in function terms, these are parameters. What these actually do, I have no idea. This is just something that dev C++ puts in there because it can. This is just kind of what it puts in there when you start a new project. So you don't actually really need this. If you were to delete that, you'd be just fine and the program would run just fine. So I'm not really sure why we need that, but I'm going to leave it there because it was put there for me. Now that we have that out of the way, I really hope that that answers some of your questions. And now we're going to go over some of the basic operations. Now, of course, in math class, we all learned about these basic things. We have, addition, we have subtraction, we have multiplication, which is that little star thing. You don't use x because that's an actual character. It could be referred to as a variable. So you use this symbol right here, the little star thing, and that's found right above your 8 on your number keys and stuff. And then you have division, which is the forward slash. It's not the backward slash. Do not confuse it with the backward slash. All right, that's something completely different in C++. You want to use the forward slash right there. And then the other thing that we are going to be going over is the percent symbol. Basically what this does is it finds the remainder. So hopefully you all know what addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division mean. How to use them in a program is pretty simple. Let's make two variables, x and y. All right. Now x, we're going to set it equal to 4, and y, we're going to set it equal to, 10. And let's go ahead and do a few things with these variables. All right, let's go ahead and we can actually we can output the sum or whatever operation that we want to do with these. We don't have to make a separate variable and make that variable equal to x plus y. Even though we could do that, it's kind of faster just to do it with this, especially since we have a shorter program. So we're going to see out x plus y. What should happen is we should get 14 because 10 plus 14 is, 10 plus 4 is 14. So let's go ahead and run this and make sure that I'm correct. I don't know why it takes so long to run. There we go. We have 14 because it said x. What is x equal to? It's equal to 4. Alright, add y to that. What is y equal to 2? Or what is y equal to? It's equal to 10. So 4 plus 10 is 14, and that's what it output. What if we had another variable, and it's called sum? Of course, let's just, for simplicity's sake, let's just make it z, because we're sticking with letters of the alphabet. Let's set z, oops. Another way that you could do it is to set z equal to x plus y. Alright? Just like that. And then when you see out something, you just see out z. We're going to get the same answer because it's going to say, alright, output z. Wait, what is z equal to? Z is equal to x plus y. What's x equal to? 4. What's y equal to? 10. Alright, add those together and that's what we get. 14. Pretty simple. Now, of course, we could do the same with division, and we would go ahead and we would get 0.4. Of course, that wouldn't work because we're using integers, so that doesn't work because the answer would not be an integer number if we were to make all these float, not caps lock, float, or double, sorry. If we were to make these double, then it would work, and we would get 0.4. Come on, program, run. Hurry up, show up, please. Thank you. And there we go. We have 0.4 right there. That's the answer. Of course, we have subtraction, so it's going to take 4. It's going to subtract 10 with it, 10 from it, and we're going to get -6. And then the final one, if we have multiplication, it's just going to go ahead, oops, press the wrong button. It's just going to go ahead and it's going to multiply those two together. So it's all very simple. Now the percent symbol, basically what that does is it divides x by y, and it gets the remainder of that. Remainder, hopefully our 3rd grade math teacher did a very good job at teaching you guys math, and you know what remainders are. Basically, when something is divided by a certain number, and it doesn't go into an even amount of times, such as when you have 10, and you try to divide it by 3. Well, 3 doesn't go into 10 an even amount of times. It's not going to be a whole number that you get as when you divide them. So basically what this does is it just takes the remainder, and it says, alright, 10 divided by 3, what's the remainder? It's going to be 1, because 3 goes into 10 3 times, and then you have a remainder of 1, and that's what it outputs. This has a whole bunch of different uses, and we're going to go over those some of the future programs, but I think for now, hopefully this allows you to get a basic understanding. Of course, there are a few more operations and stuff. There's a few more like little math things that you have in this, But for now, this is perfectly fine. We know the basics. If we use any more in future tutorials, I'll be sure to go over them and explain them more in detail. So I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, go ahead and help me out by leaving a like, and make sure you subscribe. That way you don't miss a tutorial. I want to thank all you guys that are watching the tutorial. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it and that you guys are learning something from it. And other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.